Welcome to Top of the Pods, where today we're going back to the 80s, baby, to parachute pants and the like. I don't know what else went on in the 80s, but we're going to find out when we look at top 10 80s cartoons, because, of course, we have a Ninja Turtles movie in cinemas. Again, I was going to say for the first time in a long time, but really, that happens quite a bit. So because of that, we're looking at top 10 cartoons from the 80s. Guys, how did you get on revisiting the childhoods?
Woohoo. I got on great. I don't know about the rest of you.
I found it tough because I was never an animation person growing up. Nickelodeon was my thing with like Saved by the Bell and all the kind of live action stuff. So I actually didn't really watch many cartoons growing up, which is kind of hard to believe, I know.
That's mad. Like Saturday morning
Oh,
cartoon.
it's mad. Like I was even thinking about me, my buddy was saying to me, what did you watch? I think Rupert the Bear would have been, and Turtles would have been the only ones that I would have watched. Like I've never seen like most of these
Okay,
on this
interesting.
list.
I'm kind
Yeah.
of, I'm on a real turtle binge at the moment. I've been like putting out Turtles. I did review the new Ninja Turtles. I ate manky, disgusting Ninja Turtles pizza. I'm like all in on the Ninja Turtles.
That's
But
a,
at the same point,
if you haven't watched
oh,
that, I'm going to put the link for that.
oh God, yeah.
There's going to be a link
Thankfully,
up in the corner and just let go.
yeah, you'll never look at
Did you,
pizza the same way again.
did you watch? Did you watch
I
the new?
certainly haven't.
Did you watch the new film?
I did. I thought it was fantastic. Really, really
Yeah,
dug it.
yeah.
But in
Brilliant.
general, like, I mean, I'm a '90s kid, like, so I mean, again, though,
Sorry,
Ireland
Tom.
'90s. Look, Irish '90s is basically American '80s, so it's fine. Like,
There you go.
I saw most of these cartoons anyway at some point, or at least had awareness of all of them. But this was awesome.
Yeah.
I love doing this. This was like I think this should be like a summer tradition. Like, it was awesome just wake up in the morning watching cartoons. I like totally regressed. It was awesome. But yeah, will we dive
But
into our top 10, guys?
wasn't it like a 6 a.m. thing to get up on a Saturday morning?
It was. I remember on Saturdays Pokemon used to be on, and I had to go to swimming, and it was like, oh, did we record Pokemon on like the fucking video player? Remember those? And then
Oh,
it's like, oh, someone recorded over it. God.
yeah. Detrimental, my God. I'm like, they're carded over. There's something else. Man put Fair City on it.
Yeah, geez, those are finicky gadgets, but we're going to go to a more complex gadget now with Go Gadget. Inspector Gadget, guys, our first cartoon of the 1980s. How did we get on with Inspector Gadget? We'll come to you first, Phil.
Yeah, I actually watched the 2 episodes. There's actually two. You were saying there's one where he's a kind of a dodgy mustache.
Yes, yeah. So basically, they put out a pilot episode for the Winter Olympics, and he had a mustache. And MGM, who owned Pink Panther, were like, "That's too much like Inspector Clouseau," so they had to get rid of it. And then do an actual pilot where he didn't have a mustache. But then they had to awkwardly also re-air that episode when he had a mustache and be like, "Oh, he's in disguise."
Oh yeah.
The thing is, like, they actually feel like different shows, the both episodes. They really do.
Yeah.
Like, that didn't feel like a Inspector Gadget episode at all, that winter one. But I actually, you know what, I enjoyed it for what it was. I wasn't sure what to expect. I knew of it, but I'd never ever seen it. This is my first time ever watching it. I know there's a movie as well with Matthew Broderick in the 90s. But I thought it was fun, but I didn't really love it. Like, what? It was hard to get into. Like, there's a couple of weird things where he was stuck in between a load of sheep. It was very random.
He was in Scotland.
Yeah, I know. It was just there was little things like that. It was just hard to get into, but I could see why kids would love it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know why I watched it when I was younger, because it was his car was the coolest fucking thing ever. It used to transform into loads of different things, and it was like, oh, this is brilliant. You know, there were so many throwbacks. There were so many different characters built into Inspector Gadget, you know, including Inspector Clouseau, because they look like him, with his hat and everything. But he also had, you know, the Get Smart. It was what's his name? Don Adams did the voice exactly like he did for his voice in Get Smart, even though he wasn't the voice in the original Mustachey pilot. This time watching it around wasn't as good as I was hoping for. Besides the theme song, which, you know, it's impossible.
It's still laughing at the sheep.
I think we need to call an exorcist. Is Liz okay there?
I was just thinking about sheep. I think
don't laugh about it. It's a very common problem in Scotland.
I can see Liz's eyes all steamed up.
Sentence that I just did not expect.
Yeah, that was random.
Oh, I guess I'll go next because I don't think
every time we do these
Liz can't
episodes,
function right now.
when I'm trying to say I have a point to prove, she always laughs. And I never get my point across, then she always interrupts me.
Sorry, get a tissue on me.
Anyway, I'll finish off what I was talking about. So this is not getting edited out. This is definitely getting left in. He had so many characters. Like when you're growing up, I don't know if you, and obviously I'm the oldest here. Like so, I would have remembered other characters that he might have been inspired by, like the fucking, what was his name, Dynamite, the Dog Wonder, and what was his owner, or what was his sidekick who had, like, basically Dynamite was basically Inspector Gadget but in a dog form, and his sidekick was the bumbling detective. So your man from Hanna-Barbera decided to make Inspector Gadget out of the both of them and inspired his look after Inspector Clouseau. Anybody who's listening to this in podcast form, you have no idea what's going on.
It's absolute nonsense.
You can't ignore you. It's your turn.
Leave my sister.
Anyway,
okay.
For me, it wasn't as good as I was hoping for. So on that note, Inspector Gadget ended up at number 8 for me. You should be writing these down.
And number 7 for me.
Exactly. Nobody's giving the numbers yet, right?
Can you see the paper now?
I can. Leave me alone. Stop at me. I could have been.
Tom, what did you think of
crying.
Inspector Gadget?
Yeah, I had an interesting experience with this. This was actually one of the ones I remember watching quite a bit as a kid. I actually even liked the Matthew Broderick movie because I was at that age when it came out, even though I'm sure I'd watch it now and be like, oh, God. It's a really weird show, though. Like, as we said, there's 2 kind of pilots. And I actually ended up watching the first 2 episodes, I believe, of this. It's kind of weird, though. Like, they never, like, give an origin for what actually how he became Inspector Gadget, and I had to look it up. And apparently, like, the only way you would know his origin is if you bought a trading card, because apparently he slipped on a banana, and that was the explanation.
Well done.
But you'd only know that if you read a trading card.
But the worst thing about
that's
that is he was already a bumbling detective before he slipped on a fucking banana peel and fell down a flight of stairs. So they decided the $6 million man to shoot out of him.
Yeah, like
with a decent brain.
Yeah, surely they would have been like, okay, let's just leave this donkey there. Is he dead? Okay, yeah, leave him. But like it's like putting RoboCop in fucking Clouseau's body, you know? It's like ridiculous. I will say I kind of enjoy the kind of slapsticky, dopey cop though element of it. I mean, it would, if I watched more of these, it would definitely really wear thin. It's basically the same thing over and over again. It's like, oh, he's an idiot, and oh, hey, look, the dog and Penny sorted out. Which, by the way, really fascinating thing, voice wise. Dr. Claus, like, original voice actor is a guy called Don Francis, and he does a few other voices on the show. His actual daughter voices Penny in the first season.
Yeah.
So there's like a cool connection there. And she's gone on to have like a long voice acting credit. She's in like the Rugrats and all sorts of shit, which 90s cartoons are better. So in general, like, I thought it was kind of fun. I do agree the car is really cool. The car is like, it kind of looks like a DeLorean. I think it's like based on a Lotus.
But
you know,
Lotus from Thundercats or something.
Yeah, I was actually looking at it. It's like the same series of that. It's like, I think one is like a Lotus E-Spirit 1 and one's a Lotus E-Spirit 2, because I had the exact same thought. But I think it's okay. I think Dr. Claw is the best. I love him. Like, just his voice is like so ridiculous over the top. He's like, I'll get you, Gadget, next time, you know. And then he's got a cat, an evil cat that also is evil and laughing. Is just amazing. That's fun. The theme song is really good. I definitely felt like I was back in the 80s at the end when they went into a PSA. I'd forgotten those were a thing. When all of a sudden he's like, oh, the dangers of being out on a lake, or whatever the fuck. I'm like, oh, Jesus. I also should say the second episode of this this episode is basically the same as the second episode of Danger Mouse, which we'll get to in a minute, which is kind of weird. I don't know if you got that far into it, but anyway. Yeah, I kind of enjoyed it for what it was. I don't think it was anything special, but I did enjoy it more than some of the other ones. I actually have it at a 5.
Ooh.
No, Giggles.
Giggles is done. Giggles has left the building. I'm fine, okay? Yeah, Inspector Gadget was a big throwback for me because that was one of the ones on the list, that I actually had seen. We grew up with Inspector Gadget. It used to be on in the mornings as well before we went to school. I don't know what free or illegal channel we used to watch it on, but it was on in the mornings before we used to go to school as well. And you used to never get the end of it unless you were running late for school or you were off sick, right? So you'd be like delighted if you got to watch the end of Inspector Gadget. But like again, it was more of a nostalgia thing for me as well, and I kind of a nod to what Tom was saying as well. I think it would get quite repetitive after a while, and it's like it's Leslie Nielsen from Naked Gun in a cartoon format. Do you know what I mean? That's the best way I could describe it. It really was just that bungling idiot, you know, that kind of a way. And that's what I kind of meant to do. Like, oh, did you see what I just done there? You know, kind of a thing. But no, I still enjoyed it. It's mostly from nostalgia. But for me, it was at number 6.
I do want to say, if I have one criticism, it's that we didn't pick the episode where they go to Ireland. Because during the first season, there's an episode called Luck of the Irish where he goes to Ireland to find the Blarney Stone, and it's been stolen by Dr. Claw and his 2 leprechaun agents. So I think we know what we're doing. I think we know what we're doing for Paddy's Day. Is what I'm going to say. But yeah, look, that's Inspector Gadget. Did okay. And as I mentioned, it has quite similar to a second episode of Danger Mouse. So I suppose we should go straight to Danger Mouse, which I'm happy to start off with this one, because Danger Mouse is one of those ones that I have familiarity with and that I've heard of it. I know what he looks like. I'd never seen an episode of Danger Mouse, so I didn't even realize, honestly, that Danger Mouse was like a British thing. That was totally baffling to me, so this was totally new. And I have to say, it's really has a certain charm to it, you know. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just so very, very British, and maybe it's because I'm a big Bond fan. It's like just totally old school, like Bond. It has a real artistry to it as well. I thought, like, the way it looked, like it more so than some of the other ones. And obviously this is animation, generous watercolors, and then, you know, sketches over them. Like, but it looked very more like a lot more effort was put into the watercolor backgrounds. There's sometimes where it's like weirdly photorealistic that I thought was a really interesting choice. I don't know, it's just very charming. I also think it's as charming as it is, it's also kind of cheap. There's a lot of scenes where like someone's mouth will be hiding because clearly they didn't want to bother syncing it up. So Danger Mouse and fucking, I don't know what's whatever the mole's name is, Mr. Penfold or whatever his name is. Yeah. There we go. Where they're like having a conversation in the car, and thankfully the dash of the car is just at this level, so it's like, where did we go, Penfold? I don't know, son. We'll go. It's all like obviously they're like, don't bother syncing, just fucking hide them out. So there's a couple of shots like that, or a lot of thinking or narrating.
Yeah,
but yeah, David Jason is the voice as well, which is something I was totally unaware of. I don't know. Danger Mouse is like he's a cool motherfucker as well. Like there's no doubt in it. No, has anyone ever said that sentence, by the way? Danger Mouse is a cool motherfucker. Not even Samuel L. Jackson would say that if he watched this. You know, it's not groundbreaking, but also it's like a very brisk 11 minutes. I thought it was really fun. I liked it enough that I actually watched episode 2, which, as I said, also features a robotical Loch Ness monster like Inspector Gadget. And that was about as far as I got with it. But it's something I actually could see myself come back to, because 11 minutes is a kind of a sweet spot. And yeah, I find it quite charming. So for me, it's number 4.
Well,
I found it very hard to get into. Again, I don't know what it was. It was just, I thought it was too short to really form. Like, I've just been so busy over the last few weeks, I couldn't even watch episodes 2 and 3 because I would have loved them to, because I want to see more. I actually do want to see more of it. It's very hard to kind of form a proper kind of like, do I really like it, or am I forcing myself to like it? Because of how short it was, I'd probably put a 9 if I used to really, really push myself to it.
Yeah,
I found it very hard to get into it. I just thought it was too like Austin Powery, and even though it was way before that, I've just never ever seen it. This is my first time ever watching it.
I'm glad
you very gimmicky. I don't know.
I'm glad you said that, Phil, because it was my number 10, right?
Yeah.
But it was. And similar reason, but I don't know, like, I just all found it very, look, lively chaps. I found it very...
Yeah.
I don't know why I did. And I did find it hard to get into as well. I just kind of... I don't know, I felt like I had to really, really look at it to follow it, because there was like, you know, there was a lot of kind of like, you know, sleight of hand, and, you know, you were kind of like, oh, look over here, but don't look over here. And it was a bit, but it was very, very obvious. It was more than, for me, it was too, what's the word? How can I say this now with good grammar? I can't. So it was,
distracting.
No, it was more obvious than it should have been for a cartoon, if that makes sense. I just like, you know, there's a certain element of like, you know, oh, you know, look over there, look over there.
Then again, in hindsight, we're watching it in 2023 for the first time, and I can't.
That could be it too. And I didn't see it when I was small. As I said, could have been expensive channel. Don't know. I didn't see it, but maybe that's what it is. Video could be bang on, but I was just like, what the, a little bit. So yeah, I didn't see it when I was small. Unfortunately, we don't need the 4 good channels.
The only danger mouse you had in your house was the one fucking running under the skirting board's chest with the brush by you.
Mouse in our fucking house.
Everybody had mice in their house growing up.
And didn't you see they were very sweet?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he was shitting all over the fucking place. This is similar to Inspector Gadget for me. I definitely remember watching it growing up. Again, the theme song is a banger, but it didn't. I don't think, like Liz was saying, it doesn't hold up in this generation. It definitely held up if you're watching it and you're that age back then. I'm sure it was fantastic from what I remember. I don't remember it being fantastic. I just remember having a cartoon to watch. If it's a cartoon when you're that age, or you're just going to watch it, you don't care what it is. So it didn't really hold up for me this time. Unfortunately, it gets a number 9.
Fucking hell, guys! These are your cartoons. Like I'm sticking up for Danger Mouse here, and you're like, "Damn you, Danger Mouse! Treat him like he's a real mouse in the house."
One bit of trivia about it though, that I did find interesting: Penfold was named after John Penfold, who designed the red mailbox. The design for it, that's in the UK. So that's their headquarters, obviously in Danger Mouse. So that's probably
that's cool the most random thing.
Jesus. Anyway, let's go on to our next one before we kind of bury poor Danger Mouse there. The Brits are at it again. Let's watch another British cartoon, Superted. Anyone have any experience or knowledge or love for Superted? Liz, you look very excited when I say Superted.
Similar.
Yeah, because they had this on RTE too. So this was this surefire one for me, mate. I watched Superted when I was small. And then when the spotty robot came out, then I just nearly died. And then Mother Nature up in the cloud, and I was like, and then he zipped off his teddy suit, and I was just like, I was back on my couch in my former address watching this. It literally was the biggest throwback for me. It was Superted. I just was like, I was just filled with love for it. But like, do you know the thing of Superted's like a big hug. Right, I just think it's just like a big hug. I mean, we all know Mother Nature's a bit doddering, a bit of tally-ho, but it was just like such a big hug, and there's such a nice story behind why it was created as well. And I didn't know that until I watched it this time around. But yeah, I remember Superted, and I always wanted to know what his secret word was. But I mean, I might die not knowing. But like the Mike Young, the fellow who created it, actually like came up with it to for his son. Because his son had a fear of being on his own, and he created this whole thing for his son, and then turned it into like Superted. I thought that was just like, then that was just the biggest, even more warm hug. Then like even a warmer hug. Then I did like Superted. I won't lie, it was my number 3. Yeah, a teddy bear with superpowers and a robot friend who's friends with Mother Nature. Like, you're just not living if you don't have one of them in your life. Like,
I will actually say I align with Liz here. I put Superted at number 3 as well. This was one that I'd only ever seen like flicking through TG Sometimes they'd be like, Tommy Superted. I was like, what is that? I don't have any memory of this otherwise. I don't know. I love, again, we can spend a whole other video rating the 80s animated theme songs. I love this. I love that it's like his origin in the intro. I love it. It's pure fun. I would say Spotty creeps me the fuck out. I don't know what it is. It's just his design is really weird. I don't like it. That's the only nitpick I had.
It's a bit Tin Man, isn't it? It's a bit Tin Man Oz, but like
a little bit. But also, I don't know. It's just the colors. I'm like, the colors make me uncomfortable. I don't know what it is. I also would say you were talking about like he took off the he became Super Day. He took off his thing. I hadn't seen that. I was kind of like, he just tore his skin off when I first saw that, but that was okay as well. I don't know. There's just a really kind of fun, campy quality to it that I enjoyed. The voice work is really good, especially like basically coming straight out of the panto, the voice of Skeleton, who's apparently actually gay, is what the creator has confirmed. But he sounds it, to put it like mildly. I don't know. This was very wholesome. It kind of felt like it was from a bygone era in a good way. It was just really enjoyable. Yeah, very fun, very enjoyable. I actually did watch the second episode. Didn't like the second episode as much, but yeah, no, this just felt wholesome. more than some of the rest of them. It wasn't complicated. It was just kind of good fun. I could see that if I was a kid growing up watching this, I would have fallen in love with Superted. But yeah, even as is, it's my number 3. So there you go.
Well,
I actually the same as Danger Mouse. I didn't like it.
Oh my God. Oh,
Do you know what? I
God.
didn't see it. Again, it's the same thing. I never saw it as a child growing up, and I just thought it was too. When I watched it, I thought it was too kiddish. If that makes sense, I thought it was too childish. I don't know.
Why do you hate fun? Why do you hate fun,
I
Phil?
don't know. I just found it very kind of not that it was bad, because there's no real terrible ones on this. It was just awkward. I don't know. It's hard to explain. As Liz said earlier, there's a grammatical word of putting it. I can't. I just thought it was very childish. That's the only way I can. I actually have it as 10.
Oh my God. Poor Ted.
well, I'm going to join you there, Phil.
Yeah.
What you doing, Willis?
Sorry, Super Ted, you're my number 10 as well.
Oh my
Super 10.
God.
Super 10.
Oh, that's not super, is it?
And for like, this isn't a bash on us saying it's a bad show or anything, or any of
Yeah,
the
exactly.
I always say this on the list. It's just these are the top 10. There's fucking hundreds of 80s cartoons that you can watch. These are the top 10, so it doesn't mean it's a bad show. It's just similar to the others. It didn't live up.
Lads, we fucked this list in 2 entries already. This is going to be all over the spot. No one's going to be happy with this list.
Like Jerry and Phil are the ones who walk around the fun fair slapping popcorn out of kids' fucking hands because they're having a good time.
Well, what's going to be on our top is not definitely going to be on your top.
I can see.
Oh my gosh.
Look,
Right. Jeez.
anyway, Super Ted, again, the opening credits, it's a great way of telling the origin story. Just in the opening credits, perfect. But that's it for me. After that, it's just lost interest. That's his origin story.
Exactly.
He's a super teddy bear, and he's got a weird, campy, spotty.
But the thing is, like, I actually might really like it if I continue watching it. So I'm not.
Well, that's the point of the podcast in general. Is for anybody listening or watching, is which one we think you should binge watch the most, which is our number 1. But doesn't mean you can't binge watch all of them. But they're short cartoons anyway, so anybody who grew up watching the Turtles or Thundercats or Transformers, or you're just going to start binge watching. Then if they're on Netflix, you just sit there and just like not move for fucking 6 hours and watch every fucking episode. But it's not a bash against any of them. It's just, unfortunately, Super Ted just wasn't that super for me. But does anybody want to know what the secret word is?
Oh
Yeah?
no, you
Yes.
didn't. You can't. You're gonna have to beat this out.
The secret word is Super Ted.
It is, yeah, I know. For fuck's sake.
Come on. I was like researching. It's like, what?
Well, what are you expecting though?
I don't know, fucking hoopty fucking dupe or something, like nothing.
The periodic table backwards.
One thing about this cartoon is, it's an English, right? But it's not an English cartoon at all. It was a Welsh cartoon originally that dubbed in the English and cost them fuck all because they didn't have to work on animation. So they hired all these famous actors, voiceover actors, to voice all the characters. So they spent all the money on them and didn't have to worry about spending money on animation. So they robbed Super Ted from the
That was
West.
a bit of a downer note to end it on.
Sorry, Super Ted.
Anyway, support strike action against all that stuff. All right, from Super Ted to Thundercats. I want to see if we can do this now. We have not rehearsed this. Ready?
Oh!
Thundercats.
Wait.
No, we're meant to go. Thundercats. 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 Ho!
It was my first time watching it.
Yeah,
It was my
I've never
first time
seen
watching it. That's no excuse. Get out here, Liz.
Do you know what they're making a live action?
I was just like Super Ted.
Yeah, jeez. Oh man. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
they're making a live action of it.
Thunder.
Apparently, yeah.
Years.
They rebooted it a couple of years ago as well, and apparently it was really good. And then it got cancelled, which is a shame. But Thundercats, this is one that I was again one that I pick up through pop cultural osmosis. I'm aware of, the characters and the whole thing going on with the sword and all that.
Yeah.
I thought first of all, like when it comes to animation, if it was just the quality of animation, this one's like number 1, like way up there. It was made in Japan. It shows the quality of animation is fantastic. it's the concept of this is so weird. It looks like somebody saw Cats on Broadway and then also was like, what if that was He-Man? It means like even the characters are wearing like leotards, like they're on stage. It's like, this is really weird. But I don't know. I will say like the voice sounds really weird. Like the first episode of this it's almost like just set up. And I think this is something that we should probably reference or mention right up top. A lot of the 80s cartoons, they start with multiple parts. A lot of them. It's either 3 parts. Often it's 5 parts. For example, Ducktales that we're going to talk about, 5 parts in the first episode. Ninja Turtles, the first whole season was 5 episodes. The reason for that is because when they were making these cartoons, they wanted to get all the lore out of the way at the start, and then just basically they could stick on any random episode in syndication. Another thing you're going to see, by the way, if you follow this along, is that a lot of those shows will have 65 episodes exactly, or they'll have a couple of seasons that add up to 65 episodes. Because if they do that, that basically means that it'll fill up enough weekdays that it would be about 3 months in syndication for kids. So, we get a lot of patterns like that. Corporate stuff. Corporate math, interesting. But for this, like, the first episode is one where it's all almost like set up for the show. It is like, they're not, like, Lion-O is like a little kid, which sounds really weird when like the adult voice is coming out of him. I will say this probably has the most annoying least favorite character of anything we watched. Like, if I had Snarf in my house, he would be in a bag at the bottom of a river, like, so fucking quick. I'm sorry, I don't care. Snarf is the worst fucking thing that has ever existed. He was like, Snarf. I'm like, oh, mute. Oh my god, it was awful. But I think it had a really epic quality to it. And I was really surprised how sci-fi it actually was. Because again, I just knew Thundercats and I saw swords and Mumra and stuff. So I was like, oh, it's like probably fantasy. It was very sci-fi. It kind of gave me like weird Man of Steel vibes, actually, in a weird way. I thought there was one thing I took a quote of. Who is that? Why does it matter? The question would soon be, who was that? And I was like, oh shit! It was
you didn't.
I was like, oh man, no, got him with grammar. But I don't know. I actually quite enjoyed it more than I expected to. I thought this would be really lame. I actually did watch the second episode. I didn't like second episode like as much, but it did have Mumra, who seemed kind of cool. But yeah, Thundercats. It was okay. I'll put it at a 7. I kind of feel like if I watched more of it, I'd get more into it. I really enjoyed the first episode. I'm not sure the whole series would be for me, though. And again, I think Snarf dropped it at least 3 or 4 places for me.
Well,
yeah, I'd give it an 8. I just, what I was saying, I'd never seen it as a kid. Again, I've not seen any of these, but it's just weird. It felt like something was missing. Again, it just felt like they've set up this whole thing, and then they get to the Earth and it's over. You know what I mean? Like, and it's kind of like, I will continue watching it because I do want to find out how things go down. But isn't there like 60 something episodes in one of the seasons? Is that
130 episodes in 4 seasons?
Yeah, so it's kind of it's an investment for sure to go into. But it was really, did you not find it very strange when he became older as well? I don't know what it was.
You missed it. It was the fastest puberty I've ever seen in my life. It was just
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I just again, as Tom said, I didn't hate it. I actually thought it could has potential, but I'd have to watch a lot more to see where it goes. And I'm intrigued too, because I think I will start to continue watching it. I'd be intrigued to see where it goes.
Pretty similar listings as yourselves, guys. I had Thundercats in at 7 as well, and I hadn't seen this before either. And for the simple reason that it was grand. I definitely need another few episodes, because all of a sudden it was like, we're leaving here, Yaman has disappeared, we've landed on this planet, but now these other guys are after this planet because of the resources, but we don't know about the resources, so we're going to try and find them, but they're going to find us. And I was like, this is a fucking lot to take in. So I was like, definitely I need another episode or two. And right on point with Tom and Snarf. Like, my dog sounds like Snarf, but my dog doesn't annoy me. Snarf annoyed the absolute back bollocks out of me, and so much so that I had to go and look up information about Snarf, who played him. I was like,
send him a threatening letter, find out where his current location is.
Fucking head cease and desist annoying us. So it was like, but like then I felt right, man, when he was doing the voice of Snarf, he was 62 years of age. Like, and then I was like, does that explain an awful lot, or does that just confuse me even more? Do you know what I mean? Like, he was 62. Bob McFadden. I was just like, I found that really weird, especially with he was 62. I don't know why. I just found that very strange.
One thing I want to know, like, did any of us? I don't know if any of us watched this growing up. I want to know was Snarf actually liked at the time by kids? Because like I know like Jar Jar Binks was a character that I remember like being like, haha, funny, and he's the worst. But like, was this a character that people actually liked? Like, did anyone watch this growing up? Was anyone like, oh, Snarf?
I watched this religiously growing up. I had every fucking toy.
All right.
I had
including Snarf.
I had magazines, everything. And the only thing that ever lasted out of all the toys and all the things I got was fucking Snarf. He was unbreakable. We bounced him off every wall in the house. It was rolled over, skateboards, bikes, fucking the lot. Couldn't break the bastard.
Oh man.
All the rest of them, the heads fell off, the arms fell off, we had the Thunder Tank, we had the Thunder Castle. Gone to shit because they were flimsy plastic. Snarf was like I don't know, he's molded and
look
fucking...
at
know, but like I'm just saying, like as much as you all hate Snarf, he was fucking indestructible.
Look, you can hate Snarf, but he's not going anywhere.
You cannot fucking kill him.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god.
Growing up, I don't remember. I understand what you're saying because I love Thundercats growing up. Never realized how annoying he was until I rewatched it back. But that didn't take away from the nostalgia because I was completely, I had fucking love hearts in my eyes watching it. It's number 2 for me. It's not going to be so far down the list. There's so many good things about it that you haven't even got into. Like, Phil mentioned about him growing old, and like it took them a long time to get to Third Earth, which wasn't Earth. It was, it's hundreds of thousands of years in our future where it's the third Earth now, and
I didn't know that.
Nice. Have moved to different planets, and this is what's left over. That's why it's called Third Earth. The rest of the cats, they're cats, right? So they've gotten to adulthood, so they don't get any older. That's why they stayed the same when he got older, not the rest of them. And
this is so great.
I know.
I'm like, this is so great.
But that's actually what I really enjoyed. Like the whole lore around it was very interesting. I felt like it had a deeper universe than a lot of the other shows we watched.
If you go back to there's Japanese mythological creatures that were half man, half cat that kind of inspired also the ancient Egyptians. The half cat, half human, fucking in the temples or in the fucking tombs are all the whatever they're called. What are they called? This artwork in tombs?
Hieroglyphics.
So like there was a lot of that inspired them. There were, whether it was on purpose that they did it after them, but there was some sort of inspiration there. Also from Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, obviously, and King Arthur, obviously with the magic sword stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff that you would have grown up knowing about that inspired the whole lot of it. But if you go watch all of it, there's a lot of stuff you'll think, oh yeah, this is from that, and this is from that, and this is from that. So yeah, sorry, I just love it. And just one little tidbit to let you know about the theme song. If you ever watched Inside the Actor Studio, the TV series,
James Lipton, is it?
James Lipton, he helped create the theme song.
Wow, really? That is really random.
You're weird as fucking shit.
Oh my god!
I do have an update on Snarf, by the way. I'm after looking up Snarf, and on the Wikipedia page there's a reception, and it says the original version of Snarf received a mostly mixed to negative reception by both critics and fans who perceived the character as being shrill or annoying. Which it just shows where some things never change,
Even the name, yeah, he was bound to be like. I mean, like my voice is annoying because it's so nasally, like, but his like completely trumps mine.
Yeah, Snarf. Anyway, before we get really mad at Snarf, let's move from cats to ducks. We're going to talk about Ducktales. There we go. We didn't go much better there than Thundercats. I just want to practice. Okay, Ducktales. How did we get on with Ducktales, guys? This was a new one for me, I must say.
Yeah, I thought the animation looked way ahead of its time. Like this looked a lot cleaner than it just didn't look like it was the 80s.
Well, I've loads on that.
Well, let Phil finish his point there. We'll get into it.
I actually really, really enjoyed it. I put it as 3. But no, it was just, I thought it was really, really good. I'd never seen an episode of it before. I'm definitely going to watch the rest of them. It was such a fun show. And the only negative I could say about it is how Scrooge came around so quickly. I thought that could have been played out more. But overall, yeah, I thought it was fairly good, to be fair now. I did like it. What did you make of it?
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's just, yeah, loved it. It was my number one, DuckTales. I absolutely adored it. And I'm sorry, it's the catchiest theme song ever. Like, it really, really is. And it's got everything. It's, it's got like the bungling thieves, right, who always mess it up. It's got like an old fella who's just so pissed off life, but his heart is warmed by Huey, Dewey, and Louie because, Donald's gone off to the Navy and just makes it back to the boat in time and all this kind of crack. But then, like, he's swimming in his money and spitting it out, and I'm just like, this is just so fucking good. Like, I absolutely loved it. And it's funny you said about the animation when it felt how good it was. They actually pumped a load of money into the animation budget for this, and that paved the way for the likes of Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers. I mean, like, amazing. Where there's danger, right? And
Look at you.
I know, but it's just so good. And what's Darkwing Duck. I was like, what's the name of the pilot? Yeah, Darkwing Duck, right? They pumped a load of money into it, and then because DuckTales was such a huge success, then the other ones as well were like spin-offs of that. It was so cool. And then I was like, how is he Scottish? Do you know? But then it apparently comes from fucking Castle MacDuck in Scotland, and I was like, this is just everything I need in my life and so much more. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed DuckTales. Woo!
I was gonna say, I think we just found, like, in Roger Rabbit when he's trying to weasel out the rabbit and he goes, no tune can respond to this, and it's like, and everyone has to go. I think we just found Liz's version of that. If you say DuckTales, she has to go, woo. This is
watch it again.
This is one for me that I had not seen. I have to keep stressing. 90s cartoons are better, by the way, like, by far. You have no idea. I'm glad you like paved the way, like you walked so I could run, so thanks. But I had Quack Pack, which was like the sequel series to this, which I vaguely remember, to be honest. But DuckTales was one that, again, I was very aware of. I knew it was like, especially the video game had a big deal. I knew they rebooted it recently as well. Yeah, really enjoyed it. I mean, the voices are annoying, but again, that's what you sign up for with Donald Duck and Huey, Dewey, and Louie. But yeah, no, I kind of enjoyed it. I mean, basically, like, Scrooge McDuck is Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns, like, they absolutely ripped all that characterization out for Mr. Burns. It's so obvious. But it was really fun. And I thought it was kind of clever in some of the dialogue. Like, there's a great moment I love where, like, they're like, we missed you, and he's like, missed me? What did you throw at me? I was like, brilliant, you got me. This was one, again, that I'm like, I'm going to come back to this. This is one of the first ones I watched for this, so I was like, I'm going to come back and watch more of it. So I think I actually will, especially because it's all on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
it looks really good. As mentioned, the animation is very good. I mean, it's Disney. They couldn't be like, this is shitly animated. They had to make it look good. It's in their name, like, for God's sake. But I like the idea. I agree with Phil where I felt like his change of heart was a bit quick.
Especially if there's 5 episodes of it.
That's what I was thinking. Like, and I again, with those 5 episodes, it was like, I don't know if they aired them night after night, or, again, another thing that Disney would often do, if it wasn't going to series, they could just turn it into a TV movie or whatever. But like, the whole idea of like, oh, we're all changed out of the $1, I was like, oh, that's a nice kind of message for kids, and it sticks with the theme. Again, the to be continued. I was like, oh man, I'm going to watch more of this. I will continue with it. I liked it. I had a kind of sense of adventure, a sense of fun. So yeah, for me, it was right up there. I think it was number 2. I quite enjoyed DuckTales. That's what we said. Woo.
Sorry. Yes, love.
Yeah, so DuckTales was. Oh, you didn't say it.
No, I waiting to see what you're saying after woohoo or fucking good night. So.
Yeah.
You have to leave a gap. Come on.
Ian, another awesome theme tune. It's hard to beat. I would love to, at the end of this, when we're finished, pick your top theme song when we're done. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love the backstory. If anybody doesn't know, Scrooge McDuck started out in a comic-y book. I think it was a magazine series, and he was really, really evil. Like, he was a fucking asshole, and the way he was animated, his character was completely different to Scrooge McDuck in the cartoon. The this is the first time that Disney ever went into the animated TV series ever. None of the rest of the characters ever had their own animated TV series until Scrooge McDuck, which is strange because they, the amount of characters they had before he came along was, astronomical. Like, so why they went this route was beyond me, but it worked. Donald wasn't supposed to be in it at all. Like, it was just a kind of a, here's a cameo. This is Donald Duck, and this is his uncle-in-law, and off you go. Like, obviously, his uncle-in-law was married to his auntie, but she's no longer there. Look, so anybody wants to know, that's his backstory. Donald was never in the Navy either, by the way. It's just threw it into this first episode for the fun of it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. DuckTales was number 7 for me.
Whoops.
Number 7.
This is full of twists and turns. I would not have expected 7. Well, the way you were glowing about it, but hey.
You know what I think now? Do you ever see Robin Hood Men in Tights when your man comes in and he was like, "Don't tell me bad news," and he goes, "Oh,
no, it's not what he said. He said, "I have news." Is it bad? It's bad. Can you tell it in a good way?
Yeah.
Bad news. Oh, you're in so much trouble. Robin, we're all
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
we're going really into the animal theme, so I suppose we should keep going and talk about Turtles of the Teenage Mutant and Ninja variety. I'm going to talk about this because I think I'm going to talk about this pretty glowingly because this is the one that I watched a lot as a kid. In fact, as I said, I've done Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff on my channel. I'm also going back to the 90s movies on my channel soon if you want to check it out on Pop Cult Pod. This was for me, I've just been on a Turtles binge the last kind of while. I've been reading one of the Turtles comics. Again, I was watching the Turtles stuff for the channel. So going back to the cartoon, I was like, well, let's hope and pray that this holds up. I actually really loved it. I think it has a good sense of humor, and you need that for being as wacky as it is. I like that they actually explain how the turtles end up down the sewer, because that a lot of times that's kind of a blind spot. It's just like, there's turtles in the sewer, and you're like, wait a minute, why? Because like if it was an alligator, okay, they flushed it because it was too big. Like, they're baby turtles. Why? But anyway, it does explain that, which I like. It's a very lore heavy episode. I will say again, this was a 5-episode miniseries in its first season. There's a lot of stuff introduced even in the second episode, and I did watch 3 of these episodes, which is the most I've watched of any of the shows. I don't know. What was really funny, and again, the Turtles kind of dominated the 80s and 90s, even with toys, everything, movies. As I was watching this, they put the first 5 episodes up on YouTube, so I was watching it in that, and I got an ad for Ninja Turtles toys. No joke. So that's how much they still rule. But yeah, I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was so much fun. I like the kind of weird sense of humor it has, like when the old lady just whips out a machine gun. That's a classic. I'll always pop for an old lady with a machine gun.
Yeah.
I like when there's a montage of what they're trying to figure out the human worlds. They're like, April, what's that? And she keeps explaining it, but also getting all their names wrong. I don't know why. I just thought that was funny. I like that they go to a place called Ninja Pizza, and everything is ninja, and it's actually just ninjas making a pizza. I don't know. I just thought it was really fun. There's also a really awesome moment. I mean, the animation, and this is a criticism of Turtles fans in general. And again, the 65 episode thing is also true for this one. I think there was a lot of seasons. The first 3 seasons brought up to 65 episodes. I think around that point they moved the animation to overseas, and it wasn't as good. The animation in this episode I thought was quite good. There's an awesome moment where they're fighting robot ninjas on the rooftop, and it looks really cool. It's really and again, that level of action, I think it's probably the best action out of some of the things we got, in my opinion. And also it just has such a cheesy line that I was like, yeah, where he just goes, robots, let's rock, and I was like, yeah, get them, kill those robot ninjas. I don't know. I thought this was pretty good. I like the creative idea as well at the end where the building fills up with water. Apparently that was literally only thrown in so they can make it look like Michelangelo was surfing. They wanted that so he could say cowabunga and shit. I just thought it was really creative. I really enjoyed it. It has got an amazing theme song that I still sing to this day, which, by the way, is a common bit of trivia. The theme song was written by Chuck Lorre, who is a producer now, best known for creating 2.5 Men, Big Bang Theory, basically all these massive sitcoms, Mike and Molly, and a few other ones. he used to be like a writer. He did animation. He was moving away from animation, and they asked him to do a show, and he was like, "Look, I'm kind of moving into regular sitcoms, but I'll have a stab at the theme song, and it's still here. I'm sure he still gets checks, and he fucking deserves them. And that is a banger of a theme song. And also, funny enough, 2.5 Men main character in that is a jingle writer, just saying connections. Again, I don't think it's a surprise where I put this on my list. I've been very glowing about it. For me, this is right up top. This is number one.
Yeah.
Please don't tear apart my childhood.
I'll go with you. That's number one for me as well. I watched this with a big smile on my face. This is the one now that would be would be my Superted. It was just so good. Like, it was just so good, and even the fighting scenes. Very rare you see those really cool silhouette shots. Yeah, they were really cool. But again, I loved everything about it. They packed so much into that 20 minutes, and it didn't feel overpacked, which is very difficult to do. It was just so good, and even the song again. It just, if you're going to pick songs later, you might as well say mine is the Turtles. It's good. It's just everything about it again. It's just so good. I can't go into it because Tom said more than what I can say about it, but it's so good. Yeah, so good.
Yeah,
I'll watch it all day.
I'll join you as well. It's my my number one as well.
Liz is sweating there.
Yeah, again, it's another one of those ones I grew up with that wasn't just a cartoon that that because it was a cartoon I'd watch it. Like, it was something that I was invested in. We got a lot of the fucking toys, action figures, comics, the works. We were obsessed with it. It was them, Thundercats, He-Man, like, they were the kind of things we were growing up with. So this is a complete throwback for me. I loved everything about going back to watch it because I hadn't watched it in so long. Even though I have DVDs upstairs that I got for Christmas a few years ago from my mother, by the way, was Thundercats and the Turtles DVDs. I don't have a DVD player. My laptop doesn't have a CD drive in it, so I have no way of watching them. So it was great to go back and actually watch it again. For anybody who's never seen it, the episodes are great. Like, get the origin story out of the way so quickly and find out where they came from and who the bad guy is. And, if you go into the next few episodes, you'll find out how the rest of the bad guys come about and who the leader really is, as a Shredder, as a Krang. Bebop and Rocksteady were the coolest bad guys, even though they were fucking useless.
Yeah.
They were super powered, fucking a rhino and a fucking warthog who were like, 10 times as powerful as any turtle, especially the ones they were supposed to be, even though they weren't amphibious turtles originally, and they were supposed to drown and they shouldn't be able to be in water. But
is there a reason why Shredder was unmasked?
Why he was what?
Why he wears a mask, is it?
No, he unmasked. Like, do you see his face at one point?
I'm trying to remember when he unmasks. I'm assuming it's because they play up the connection between, like, Splinter and his, because they, like, or at least in a lot of the other versions. I'm trying to remember. It's because there's a Splinter, basically, or it was a Rokusaki.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or no, it was the other way around. Basically, Hamato Yoshi is Splinter, or Rokusaki is Shredder. They basically train together in the Foot Clan. Yeah. So he basically was like, "You recognize my face," or whatever. And that version is kind of in a lot of different iterations of the Turtles. But yeah,
you recognize his voice as well as Uncle Phil.
Yeah. The voice work in general is great.
Yeah. Anybody who hasn't seen it, definitely go out of your way to watch this one. Number one for me.
Yeah. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were fab. Sure, I grew up with them as well. This is number 2 on my list because took the number 1 spot. But definitely, I love Uncle Phil's voice for Shredder. I think it's perfect. And you know what? Teenage Mutant Hero gets so right. 2 things for me it gets so right. The first one is that there's constantly the musical interlude of the theme song playing throughout the show during the fight scenes, I love that because there is absolutely no way you are forgetting that theme song because there's just subliminal messages the whole time, exactly. The whole time through it. And I love that. That's one thing it gets so right. Without being too much in your face, you'll find yourself going, when they're fighting, The second thing they get right is that you can name all 4 turtles, which sounds so silly, and you could probably name all of their weapons as well. Obviously, because it's in the theme tune and what they're known for as well. Their fun things they do and stuff like that. Could you do the same for the Power Rangers? Could you do the same for, you couldn't. So they've done that so well that they've captured. It's very, very hard when you've got a faction. Well, hey, when you got a faction, it's very, very hard to remember each one individually for what they're for. But for sure, I know when I was growing up, people wanted Donatello because he was really, really smart. People wanted Raphael because he had these really, really cool blades. And each one was so popular for their own reason. It wasn't like the purple one. Everybody knew they were, and that's so hard to capture. And I think they've done that so well. So yeah, definitely another one that you could sit down and just binge watch without even realizing it. So yeah, number 2 for me.
Yeah, interesting fact.
I have to sorry, because Jerry, I just have to commend you there as well, Liz, for calling it Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, which is probably what it was called over here.
Hero. I grew up with Hero Turtles, yeah.
Yeah, and that's right, because the UK and basically probably Ireland by extension called it Hero Turtles because Ninja was basically not allowed by the BBFC. Same with a lot of the if you notice as well, the nunchucks like that Michelangelo uses aren't as focused on in these cuts. In fact, in later seasons, it'd be gone altogether.
Yeah, the clamps,
right there.
The clams, the rope, and
it would affect the second Turtles movie as well, which I'm going to talk about on my channel at some stage.
Well, originally, actually, as well, in the comics, none of them they all wore red masks, bandanas.
Yeah.
They weren't all color-coded at all.
And again, I'm actually talking about this in the video I'm working on at the moment, so check the channel where I do the whole history of the Turtles and the comic. What's fascinating about it is the TV show is basically only the way it was because of the toy companies. They make the comic becomes a massive hit in the Indie Comics bundle, but they're like, this is way too dark. Here's what we need to change. Same thing with as you mentioned, the color bandanas. The comic was black and white, so the only way you could tell the Turtles was their weapons. So eventually they're like, actually, that's a good change. Same with April O'Neil is not a reporter in the comic books originally. She's a lab technician. So there's all these minor changes that the cartoon has made kind of canon for the better. So it was kind of like two properties kind of helping each other out, which is fascinating. But yeah, I think before we move on to Turtles, we need to definitively say who's our favorite Turtle, guys. I want to see, this is a personality test.
Raphael.
Donatello.
Leonardo.
Oh my god.
Michelangelo. I'm not even getting around. That's crazy.
I
was like, there's no way we're going to get all of them.
Before we go any further, Tom. Oh, you're back. You were frozen there for a while.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I got too excited.
Michelangelo, you came back. I was like, how? Actually,
pizza.
That
cowabunga, dude.
That was ad lib. That was part of it all. That somebody said that in one of the episodes, and they just kept with it.
That's not.
Man.
He invented that word out of the. Well, I don't know. Invented that word. He probably was a surfer in Los Angeles. So then the Simpsons stole it.
Yes. Oh man, even that word alone is that word is now synonymous. With Turtles. But Jesus. Well, anyway, so let's move on. I kind of think I fucked up my transition here because I was going to say from one reptile to another. But apparently dragons aren't reptiles, according to some nerd online. So fuck you, nerd. We're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons anyway. Phil, tell us your thoughts about Dungeons and Dragons.
I've never, ever played the game or watched the show. The funny thing is I've actually seen the new movie before I've seen any of these, which is very odd. But I watched this with a big smile on my face because this was such... If I watched this as a young kid, I would have absolutely loved it. It was so well done, and all the characters were likable to the point where it was. I was enlightened watching it. I thought it was really, really well done, and I'm so cynical because I fell for a lot of the stuff in it. I didn't expect that, but I did with them going up and being stuck up there and. Just the whole thing with the village being burned off was just. If I watched this as a 5-year-old, I would have really, really been in love with this show. I'm definitely going to continue watching it. I'm going to put it as number 2.
Oh,
yeah! Oh, it was really good. I definitely continue watching this one.
Dude, that's the purpose of the show.
We found Phil's Ducktales.
Yeah. Pretty much. I've never ever seen. It's weird because I saw the movie only a few months ago.
The new one.
I thought the new one was okay. I didn't love it.
And there's actually an Easter egg to the only reason I found out there was a Dungeons and Dragons cartoon at all is there's an Easter egg in the new movie involving this. There's one part where they're in a maze, and the characters in the maze in the movie have the same costumes as
Oh
the
yeah.
characters from this show. This is the only reason I copped it. But yeah, I'm the same as you. I had never seen the show. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons. I have a set upstairs that's gathering dust because they were like, I had a group of friends that were like, hey, let's do Dungeons and Dragons. You be the dungeon master. I'm like, that sounds like a lot of work. And then it never happened. But yeah, I like this quite a bit. I like the style of it. I thought it had a nice kind of score. There was like a lot more kind of orchestral music and classical music to this that I quite enjoyed, which suits the fantasy elements of it. The characters I thought were interesting. I feel like if I watched more of this, I would get really into these characters. So far, Presto, the semi-competent magician, is my favorite. Of course, shout out to Uni as well, who's just adorable. But yeah, I will say for me, this was a show that like went from like a 7 to like a 9 when they did that twist, which I was genuinely like, oh snap, they got me. Like, and I was kind of like white hair. I was like, wait a minute. And by the time I figured it out, it was like twist, Venga, it's the evil man all along, not Merlin. I really like that. I also really like the way it was structured, and that like they captured the dragon early on, and then they turned it around, and it's like, well, we actually need to free that dragon now. I really liked it. It was really fun. I like the ending where like they're like wandering off, and they're like, "Hey, what are we gonna do? I'm nothing to ride," and they give him the cow from earlier in the episode. That's a nice kind of callback. That was cute, even though he had a line where I was like, "I don't ride on anything that gives milk," which is a really specific rule.
Mm-hmm.
Which I just was like, "Is that a joke? I don't know if that is a joke." But yeah, no, I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected. I didn't get going straight away for me, which is probably if I take it down a mark, that's why. For me, it's number 6, but to be honest, I kind of feel like I could have bumped it up a few other places in retrospect, but I'm going to keep it at number 6 for now.
I've never played Dungeons and Dragons. I've never seen this before. Didn't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons until Stranger Things. Not a clue. I remember vaguely there was a game at the playground when I was younger called Dungeons and Dragons, but never partook in it because I was too busy playing Under the Banister. I was this was very, very new for me. This is at number 8 on my list. Only because for me it came across as standard cartoon. I don't know, was I just cartooned out? Maybe it was, but I just kind of in standard cartoon. I don't know. I kind of knew what was. Not that I knew what was going to happen. I caught the Merlin thing. Sorry, Tom. I caught the Merlin thing pretty quickly, and I was like, "Oh no, it's not." I don't know why I knew by his eyes. Of my mum says, like I knew by his eyes. He couldn't look me in the face. That's my mum says when she spots a liar by. But yeah. So I was just like, I don't know. I just knew. But yeah, maybe I need a few more episodes of it, maybe, or if I had a little bit more Dungeons and Dragons knowledge or background, this would have appealed to me a little bit more. But I was in this completely blind, had no clue. Only what I have seen at the very, very beginning of Stranger Things. So it was number 8 for me. Not that it was bad, but something had to take the 8th spot, and I preferred other ones that were on the list. Not that it's bad. Okay.
No, that's all.
There's
all
me
good.
giving my Robin Hood.
That's all good.
We're going to call them Robin Hoods from now on. That's my Robin Hood. So
don't take a drink and spit it on the laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Again, like everybody, I never played the board game. I don't think I know anybody who ever has. I think it was a more of an American thing. I don't think the board game was actually in Ireland, to be honest. The cartoon, don't remember it being readily available in Ireland either. I don't remember it being on TV. I never watched it. I'd never seen it. I knew loads about Dungeons and Dragons growing up. Never had played it, never had seen it. Again, until Stranger Things came back, I'd forgotten all about it. I know there was a 90s wannabe film that came out with, I remember his name now. He was in.
There was one with Jeremy Irons, and it was like ended up being a whole trilogy.
Yeah.
But like I think 2 of them are direct to DVD, maybe. Yeah.
First film came out and it was bombed so bad that the rest of them I think they already signed up for the trilogy before, thinking they were going to smash it, but the first one did so bad that they just ended up fucking them into the extra vision bin on the way out.
Extra vision.
Yeah. Throwback. There's a throwback. But yeah, number 5 in my list. I thoroughly enjoyed the cartoon itself. I like the twist. I kind of knew it was coming as well. I knew it was like when he was rubbing the hair, I was like, "There's the white hair. Why haven't they seen it yet?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Come on, it's right there." Merlin obviously is dead 1,000. He died 1,000 years ago. Like, can you kill Merlin? Can he die?
Back
folklore.
stronger than a 90s trend, man.
I tell you, he's definitely going to come back in later episodes, I hope. I'm curious to see more episodes, mainly because of Stranger Things and, what are they called? The Demogorgons and all the characters
Demagogues, is it?
in Stranger Things. And I'm like, did those names from Stranger Things come from Dungeons and Dragons, or they just reword them? So I'm curious because it was just a.
I don't know. I thought they were original, but I'm not sure.
Well, they called the dragon, and this is just a. They didn't just call it a whatever 5-headed dragon or something. They didn't call it dragon in this. So I'm wondering, is there like the bad guy, the villain was in this was
the shape of it was familiar. How he was presented was familiar.
The name of the main villain in this was very similar to Vecna. Something similar, but not Vecna. So I'm wondering, maybe did they do the same with Stranger Things? So
I've just looked it up. So Demogorgon is like a deity. It's like a whole mythology thing beforehand. It was in Dungeons and Dragons as a powerful demon prince, but of course it's also in Stranger Things. I'm assuming it's like a different looking thing as well, just for copyright reasons. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to watch more episodes just on that. So it's not that I'm a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons, but I can see why people would want to go off and watch it because of Stranger Things. Now, I think it had a reboot because of Stranger Things, and that's why they decided to make a film about it, because try and latch on to the popularity of it. So definitely go back and watch more of it. Number 5.
All right, well, yeah, seems like Dungeons and Dragons did all right. But hey, let's talk about another place that would have a dungeon, Castle Grayskull. We're going to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I'm not going first for this one because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, just in case.
I will.
Whoa.
What?
Phil, you go first. Don't let them.
I'll do it. I'm going to put it as 4 on my one. I thought Skeletor was the best, I suppose, baddie heel guy of all the lists. If I watched this as a child, I would have been absolutely terrified. I really, really enjoyed this episode, and I really love the little jingle song that used to come on randomly as well mid episodes. But yeah, I thought this episode was very, very good. It's just, again, I didn't see it as a young fella, so it's hard for me to mostly invested, but I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm going to 4.
I'll go next. That's number 3 for me. So before Tom and Liz decide to rip it apart, this is another one of those ones that I said earlier about Thundercats and the Turtles that I grew up with. We all had He-Man comics and action figures, and I'm pretty sure I dressed up as Skeletor once for Halloween or for a festival or something. I'm pretty sure I had a Halloween Skeletor costume. I vaguely remember having it. You're ready to explode here. She's going to divorce me, and I'm like, well, what's going on? He-Man is awesome. I don't care what you say.
Stop! You're making me worse.
You're the one giggling. I know what you're going to say. I know the look on your face. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. It's number 3. It's a great cartoon. The backstory was phenomenal. Besides the fact that Prince Adam was a teenager and He-Man obviously wasn't, even though they're supposed to be the same person. But yeah, number 3. Go on, love. Splurt it out.
You're making me feel awful now for having an opinion.
Tell the good news in a bad way.
No, this is coming straight from the fucking heart. This is. I don't get it. I don't get the whole He-Man thing. I didn't get it. I like the art. Like, honestly, it was the cartoon I flicked the channel on when I was small as well. Or if you had to watch it, you fucking had to. But this was considered the most successful animated series, right, according to Filmation, right? And I was just like, I have the power. Like, yeah, that's grand, but I just it's grand. It's grand. It's grand. I don't know what else to say, but I just was like not a He-Man person, and even a She-Ra as well. Like, I don't know. It just, maybe I was just not caught up in the whole sweeping of the He-Man era, but I just. No, maybe it's, what? Maybe it's because I'd watched Thundercats, right? And then I know they're very different before you come at me.
They're not really. Right?
I don't know. I don't know. It's a little bit of an eye roller for me. Sorry. No, see, I was very nice about that, wasn't I?
That's okay.
See?
Where was
Yeah.
it on your list?
9.
Nine.
I feel bad now that you were kind of nice because I don't think I'm going to be very nice at all here. I watched this after Thundercats, so that's kind of where I came at it from. I don't get it either. I like it gets all the backstory out of the way in the intro, which is nice. The only thing I knew about I had a vague idea. I knew Skeletor. I knew he was Prince Adam. I knew I did that before I'd seen. I think, by the way, I literally picked it up a couple of weeks ago. I was on a mountain and I picked it up a stick and I was like, I have the power. What's that from? Oh yeah, never seen that. I don't like Skeletor looks cool, but he's also just a whining fucking skeleton in a hoodie. Like, like what are we doing here? Like, he's fine, but in general, it's like the animation for this was so lame. I thought, like, where it's like it was just close up static shots, and then it was just like blah, 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 blah. Just lip syncing over and over again, as opposed to actually interesting animation. I don't understand the appeal of it. I really don't. I'm not trying to be mean. I just thought this show to me, and again, I only watched one episode. It seems to me like it would be the exact same thing every fucking time. Yeah. I also don't understand how nobody they don't recognize him. It's like, mate, all he did was take his pants off. Mm-hmm. Why do you not recognize him? Like, he's like, I don't understand it at all. The animation I thought looked pretty cheap compared to the rest of the stuff. I didn't feel like there was any ever real peril in the show. I'm sure that's wrong if I get into later episodes. But he's basically like, I have a powerful sword, and now everyone's defeated. Well done, He-Man. What should we not do? Don't smoke, kids. And that's the end of the show. And I'm like, what the fuck? I just watched. I don't know. The last thing I wrote of this was I said the 80s can keep this one. Number 10 for me. Really didn't enjoy it. Was hoping for more out of it. Did not enjoy He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I saw one of the more recent ones where they brought it to Netflix that everyone hated. I thought that looked okay. That seemed all right to me, but hey, fuck it. This one, I'm going to get fucking harassed online now. I don't like He-Man. It sucks. Just big muscle men walking around. They're all meant to be like, oh, cool.
Man in the universe.
Yeah, fucking no wonder, because he's like 6 foot fucking wide and 4 foot tall. like ridiculous. Come on.
He could defeat Thanos.
Oh yeah, good, yeah.
Not the Eternal.
Because he's got a sword. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Get out of here. Even his name, He-Man.
It was
that's listen. It could be any years. That would only be acceptable if English was just invented that year.
You couldn't make this show now.
Yeah, probably for good reason.
You couldn't use the word he. You couldn't use the word man in a show. You couldn't.
It would just be human.
You couldn't even use human. You can't even say human anymore, so you couldn't use it.
Moving on.
It's okay. Keep it in the 80s for all I care. Fuck it. So yeah, that was He-Man. I don't really have a transition to this, but I can transform to the next section. Transformers. Robots in disguise. All right, let's hear what these guys and this gal think of the robots in disguise. Transformers is one that I actually did see a little bit growing up. I had a really awkward position in my personal history of watching Transformers, where it always started just around the time I had to go to school. So I saw probably every episode of Transformers at the start and never any of the endings. so that was it. This one, and obviously, I would say I'm more aware of Transformers than a lot of people from the movies and general kind of comics and picking it up through that kind of way. This is one of those ones where I'm leave the memories alone. It was kind of a bit lame to me. It has a whole 3 episodes, I think it is, kind of episode arc. I only watched the first one, which didn't help it, and they do preview the following episode that looked much more exciting, and so maybe the first episode just wasn't it for me. I think the animation is very janky, which is kind of weird for robots that can transform. It would be a lot cooler. It just looked really weird. I didn't think the robots were as distinguishable as I remembered, but it really did seem like a toy, a cartoon set up to sell toys, because every robot that comes in, they're like, "What are you doing, Soundwave?" And then he'll do what he can do. I do like the sounds of the show, which is a priority. I don't know. Maybe they're meant to look janky because they're robots. I'm not sure. I also one thing I did love Starscream just openly constantly shitting on Megatron. I'm like, if Megatron had any balls, he'd be like, "Oh, he's questioning my leadership." turn into a giant gun. It's just like Megatron's like, he's like, oh, someday I'll take over from you, Megatron. You're a shit at your job. And he's just like, oh, shut up, Starscream. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. One thing I really did love is the version I watched had like classic, like the Transformers will return after these messages. I was like, yeah, man, that hit me right there. I don't think it held up that well aside from that. It was just generally a lot of robots that I often didn't know who was who, just talking. And then when they got to Earth, I thought it was even more boring. It just felt like they were selling toys to me, honestly. Again, I feel like if I watch the next episode, they did preview the next episode, it looked way more exciting. I also don't care. Like, there's like the humans are like trapped under a bridge and they're like, help us. I don't care. Fucking they're humans. Who gives a shit? Like, I'm here to watch the Transformers. I'm like, oh no, the humans are trapped. I'm like, okay, the humans are trapped. Okay, there's a giant robot battle over there, and we're like, oh no, he's stuck under a log. I don't care. Okay, show me the robots fighting. Like, I don't know. I mean, again, I feel like if I gave this a few more episodes, I would be into it. But yeah, this first episode didn't really love it as much as I thought I would, which was a shame. Maybe I have higher standards than expected for it. For me, it was number 9.
Wow. Bill?
Ooh.
I'm going to go with a 6. I actually didn't mind the second half of it. The first half is way more sci-fi than I remember. It kicked off really weird, and it was just a lot of talking, and I was like, okay, get on to the fighting. I want to see some fighting. And then the actual best part of the episode was probably the very end, where they're like, tune in next time, and they're fighting on a big bridge. And I was like, I want to watch the second episode, so I'm definitely going to watch the second episode. But yeah, it's in the middle. It's 6. It's okay, but not particularly great. I didn't hate it, but I will continue watching it. I'm going to give it another go. I'm going to continue with that. Definitely the next 2 episodes to get through the parts, for sure.
Yeah. Same for me. Number 6 for me. It is middle of the road. It's another one. I think my older brothers might have been more into it than I was growing up, because they definitely had old hardbook comics, not the flimsy ones you get, like the actually hard-covered ones, and we used to draw all over them. I vaguely remember doing that. You know, probably destroyed their value completely. I'm pretty sure they still have them somewhere. I didn't really get into the cartoon growing up. The films franchises that have come out have completely turned me against them altogether, because they were all brutal. I don't know why I kept going watching them. Yeah, it was like a cartoon of 2 halves, with, like Phil was saying, like the sci-fi and space part, and then them crash landing on Earth. And for some reason, even though they're on the I can't even remember what they're called now. Decepticons were the bad guys. They got repaired first, even though it was the other lad's ship. Why would they even repair Optimus?
It was confusing for sure.
Yeah. They repair Optimus Prime first when it was his fucking ship. They decided they just, repair the Decepticons and let them get try and destroy them, fucking blow up rocks and land on top of them. And, even though the crash landed, it was like 1 million years later, like just like that. It's like, why was it
4 million years later?
Yeah, why was it so fucking long ago? Like,
like light years?
Why couldn't they just crash and land whenever it was normal and just get on with it? Like, yeah. That I did like the swipes rule, they kept going back and forward. And I love to find out because you don't get that nowadays. Like,
that's true.
You don't get a preview of the next episode. You just get, if you're watching a weekly episode, you have to wait till either a trailer comes out the next day, or you don't get anything. You just have to tune in next week, kind of thing. So it gave you a teaser in the episode, so you're like, yeah, definitely have to watch that. So yeah, I like that part of it, but yeah, it was middle of the road 6.
Me too. Middle of the road for me, but it was at number 5, right? Yeah, I didn't mind Transformers, but as a lot of you said, you felt like you were being sold toys a lot, right? And here's the thing, because I've done a bit of digging on it, right? And Hasbro actually went to a toy expo in Tokyo, right? And looking for prospective toys that they could bring commercially to the US market that would sell. And they actually built the Transformer story around the toys that they picked up over there, which is pure random. So we were always going to be sold something. So I'd say that probably maybe excuses to an extent why the first maybe episode was a little bit pitchy patchy. It was kind of like, right, how the fuck are we going to put these on Earth and make people want to buy them? Do you know, that kind of a way? Because it was a little bit of a rich tapestry, shall we say, the first episode. But I enjoyed it, and like, you know, I think everybody is always going to be like, Optimus Prime. You know, that kind of a way. It's one of those things that stuck with you when you grew up and stuff. But yeah, I did enjoy Transformers. It was fine. I like the whole toy aspect of it. I thought it was cool that, you know, you could have a transformer and stuff. But yeah, on the fence, 5 for me.
I will say on that note about the toys, there's a really good Netflix series called The Toys That Made Us that explore a lot of the toys we mentioned, a lot of shows, Ninja Turtles episode, He-Man episode, all of those that really goes into history of these and why. Especially in the 80s, there was a lot of these toys that they're like, well, if it's going to be successful, we need a TV show, and a lot of that kind of was birthed. And I think it's probably most noticeable in this than any of the other ones. But you know, it is what it is. We come to our last one. Who are we going to call? Ghostbusters. I just wanted to see what I was saying. The Real Ghostbusters, which I want to talk about right off the bat. Why it's called the Real Ghostbusters. This is a really shocking thing that I kind of fell down the rabbit hole on for a little while. So, if I'm a massive Ghostbusters fan, like one of my earliest memories, I think it might even be my earliest memory, is watching the Ghostbusters walk around in the remnants of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Genuinely, when I was a kid, that is one of my earliest memories. I love Ghostbusters, have always loved it. This is one where, like, again, since I grew up in the 90s, we had Extreme Ghostbusters. That's kind of what I remember. Never saw this show. But if you knew anything about Ghostbusters, basically when they were filming that movie, there was a time where they didn't know if they could legally call it Ghostbusters. So actually a couple of years ago for the first time, there was outtakes where I think they called it like Ghost Breakers, Ghost Smashers and things like that, because there was already a TV show called Ghostbusters that was like about a paranormal detective agency or something. Yeah. And basically, because of that, they weren't sure if they could call it Ghostbusters. And then, based on the success of the Ghostbusters movie, the people who made that original TV show were like, we can capitalize on their success and make a Ghostbusters cartoon. So that means that back in 1986, there were 2 animated Ghostbusters series. The same year. Apparently, the other Ghostbusters series came out, I think, just before it. So this had to be called The Real Ghostbusters as a result. And they do explain it a little bit in the episode, but it is kind of finicky. But that just blew my mind that like there was 2 shows called Ghostbusters in the same year, within like a month of each other. That just blew my mind. But it was weird. I will say, as a massive Ghostbusters fan, I was surprised by this. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it overall. But I didn't realize it was like going to be the actual characters from Ghostbusters. But I thought it was quite good. I do like some of the humor they really got. Like there's a part where they go like, what warp dimension do you think they come from? And someone said they're possibly New Jersey, which I was like, brilliant. The sense of humor was good. I will say I wasn't really a fan of the ghost designs in this. They were just too generically cartoony monster. Like it felt very Scooby-Doo-ish. I would prefer it had it something a bit more ghostly looking. Maybe they didn't want that for the sake of toys. I thought the animation in general was kind of good. I was surprised how epic the scale of the story they were telling was. Again, I feel like if I watched more of it, I would love it more. I feel like this was more my love of Ghostbusters kind of got it through it, as opposed to anything else. I do want to say one thing that really jumped out to me as well, and this is a very common fact that people know now. I think it was even mentioned in Rick and Morty. The voice of Peter Venkman in this, who was played by Bill Murray in the film, is the same guy who does the voice of Garfield. And once you know that, it kind of ruins it, because I'm like, oh, it sounds like Garfield. And then, of course, the obvious connection then is that when they made a Garfield movie, Bill Murray did the voice of Garfield. So it's like a full circle thing. I don't know. Again, I did like it. I feel like I talk rather glowingly about it there, but I actually only have it at 8. I don't know. I kind of left me wanting more. Again, I would definitely feel like if I watched more, if I'd be into it as a Ghostbusters fan. It did surprise me more than anything else in the quality of it and the scale of it. That's what I did enjoy about it. But I don't know, the whole idea of like the ghost setting up a rival Ghostbusters agency was okay. I just didn't find the story that interesting. I feel like if there was a better story in the first episode, they would have grabbed me a bit more. But I think I would check out more of it. So yeah, number 8 for me, but definitely not a bust.
bust.
That wasn't even intentional.
Oh my god.
Yeah, well, it ended up number 4 for me. I really enjoyed it. Again, like yourself, Tom, I'm a massive Ghostbusters fan. Growing up, I was a massive Bill Murray fan, so Ghostbusters was always one that appealed to me. I was kind of disappointed when I was younger that the voices weren't actually the same people and the characters looked completely different. Pretty much, they were nothing like the film version. But as a nostalgia thing as well, it just throws back so many good memories of watching Ghostbusters. And I did watch this cartoon growing up. It was one of those cartoons that was, from a film, like kind of like the Beetlejuice cartoon that probably nobody's ever seen. One of them things I would sit and watch, like, because it was from a film that I loved. But it did throw back some good memories from me, so I really enjoyed it. Even though the ghouls, we'll call them ghouls, they weren't really ghosts, whatever the creatures were supposed to be, just weren't ghosts. It just didn't make any sense. And yeah, I understand why would ghosts set up a ghost busting business to try and put them out of business, and why wouldn't they just open up the fucking what's it called?
Yeah. The thing with the thing. Yeah.
Why they store the ghosts?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they just sneak into the building?
Storage unit.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they just sneak in and open it up and let all the ghosts out? But yeah,
it's very sitcom-y the way it's like we're setting up a rival business, like for ghosts.
Yeah.
It's like, I just would have preferred something that was a bit more dramatic, or instead of just like, hey,
sequel. It is like part of the franchise, really. If you think about it, it is, even though same actors, like, it is part of the franchise. If you go back and watch Ghostbusters 2 film, you kind of feel like it's stories led on from some of the episodes. There is some connection there between them all. So yeah, I enjoyed it. One thing that kind of distracted me from it was you're on about voices earlier. Egon, his voice was played by the same person who did Brain from Pinky and the Brain, and that's all.
I noticed that as well.
Like,
Maurice LaMarche,
or even Arsenio Hall doing the voice of Winston, like, even though that fucking what's his name that played Winston in the film?
Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson
actually auditioned for the role of Winston in the cartoon, and they turned him down and gave it to Arsenio Hall.
They constantly shit on that man. It's so fucking bad. Like,
fuck, like. Yeah. Number 4.
That's mad. It was my number 4 as well, for the Real Ghostbusters. You've kind of pretty much said it all as well. It was good, and there was like controversy over the theme tune and everything about it. Like the Huey Lewis, was it? What's his name? Was it Huey Lewis?
Yeah. They approached Huey Lewis to do the theme. Yeah.
I want to know.
And then he didn't.
Yeah.
and what's it? Ray Parker Jr., who never did any other song before or since, I'd say. Basically ripped off Huey Lewis, and they had to settle with Huey Lewis out of court. When apparently, like, even to this day, they're like, "What was all that about Huey Lewis?" And he just can't talk about it because of the court case.
That's right. That's it. Yeah, they both They both signed silent agreements. It was madness. No, I enjoyed Ghostbusters. I won't repeat what you guys have said. The only thing that gets me every time, right, and definitely got me this time as well. Why is Slimer with them? Why did Slimer change sides?
That's something I was wondering this as well, and it's actually kind of points to something that annoys a lot of people about Ghostbusters in general, is that, like, Slimer, who was just meant to be kind of a throwaway ghost, has kind of become a de facto kind of mascot for the series, and like sometimes his shenanigans goes a bit too far, where you're just like, come on, man, it's just Slimer, he's another ghost, forget it. Like, it's like it'd be weird if, like, in the context of another, like, let's say if this was a crime procedure, it'd be weird if they like caught a criminal and then that criminal just hung around for the whole show. And then it's like, come on, like, he's a ghost like everyone else, like, But yeah, I agree with that. I kind of thought that was weird as well.
Yeah, it's like, tell me why he's there. Give me something. Why he's, because Venkman keeps, threatening to lock him up again. That kind of a win. Then he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And it's like, why is the ghost saying sorry? And why is the ghost gone soft? Granted, he's made of slime. But I'm like, I don't get it, But yeah, 4 for me. Enjoyable, but some unanswered questions.
I'm pretty much the same as 5 for me. I put it right in the middle, and I honestly thought this was an episode right in the middle of a season. It just felt like it should have belonged halfway through the season rather than a pilot. It was just really, really well done. I had a few questions, like Slimer thing was weird, but overall I thought it was fairly decent, but nothing like special. So just right in the middle of the road is where I'd put it. Yeah, it's nothing to write home about, but nothing that I'd be raving about either.
Okay. While Liz calculates up, we'll go back to what we were talking about earlier. The theme songs from.
You know mine now.
We know what Liz is going to pick.
Yeah, because I can't. I'm calculating, so I just
You
want
calculate
to
along. You picked Ducktales.
Yeah. Woo.
It's really tough. Like, I mean, the obvious one is Turtles for me.
Yeah,
That's one that like still bangs like years later. Everyone knows it. I do think Inspector Gadget's a dark horse, though. I feel like even like if you took the lyrics out of that, like the backing track of like is awesome. I mean, it's basically in the Hall of the Mountain King, but like, Thundercats is good as well. But I don't know.
Bill, have you picked?
obviously Turtles, but I really liked the Ghostbusters team.
Yeah, Ghostbusters they have to go with as well, I suppose. Although I didn't like the version they have in this is like different, and I didn't love it as much as like the original one.
Yeah.
They have like against. I'm going to keep saying this, guys. 90s we have 90s cartoons is what we should be doing next summer at least. It's like you have no idea how badly you missed out.
I watch like, cartoons as well.
Oh well, trust me, we'll do it, and you'd be like, man. But like they had like another Ghostbusters theme for the Extreme Ghostbusters, and some people love it. It's like really more like hard rocky. It's very 90s. It's not as good either. But like the Ghostbusters theme in general is kind of a banger. Transformers is one where like it's like people love that one, and I don't really get the praise for it. It's like I like the kind of mechanical sound stuff, but it's like not like a catchy song. I don't know. Maybe that's a controversial thing to say.
Yeah, Thundercats for me was probably the best theme song because it rocked.
Yeah, Thundercats is a good one, and actually because like I knew the Thundercats thing going into it, but then when I heard it on the TV show, it was like, oh, I thought I've heard like a version of this that went a bit harder, and I remember thinking that somewhere. So I think there's maybe a cover I've heard that's really awesome as well. But like I do think, yeah,
if you went to a rock gig or something and the band started playing that song, it would be fucking amazing. Like out of all
get you pumped
songs, like it's a song that a rock band could play and fucking smash in the guitar, like, and it would sound fucking brilliant. I'd love to hear a band do it just for the hell of it. I'm sure there's bands out there who have done it just for nostalgia, like Lazy Radio.
Like an 80s hair metal band would be absolutely crush it, like
really fucking like something like Motley Crue or something, just throw it out there for the hell of it. I
actually, interestingly, I was speaking about Turtles theme song when I watched this on YouTube because like they put up the first 5 episodes, like maybe even to promote the new movie, I'm not sure, but they like changed the theme song to it slightly. It was like a cover of it, and I was just like, this isn't right. This sounds weird. And then I was trying to find it it took me ages to find like the original like version of theme song on YouTube. Like apparently like a lot of the intros have been taken down for whatever reason. I was like, don't you ever dare get rid of the original. Like this is what we need. This could solve like fucking world conflicts.
Well, what we grew up with the Hero Turtles, they actually changed the theme song to Hero Turtles. It was
they had to do that with the first movie as well. In the first movie, they had a Turtle Power by was it Partners in Rhyme or something like that? So. And they had to change Ninja and that's a hero as well. Even though the movie title, they didn't change the title of the movie for whatever reason, which is just even weirder. I go way excruciating detail on that in the video I have coming up, by the way. I'm literally talking about the British cut of it, the German cut of the first film. So yeah.
When are they dropping? When's your Turtles stuff dropping?
It's taken a while. The first cut of the first film is an hour long because I go into the origins of the movie, I go into the making of the puppets. Hopefully it'll be out before the end of August. The other ones will be shorter, but like, yeah, really exciting stuff. Really good. Like, I've dug up interviews, I've dug a behind the scenes clip, all the stuff that's really interesting to learn about that. Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to know more about the history of Ninja Turtles, why the movie is such a weird place where it's half comic, half TV show. It's a fascinating watch that people should definitely check out. Like actually, literally, I'm so into Ninja Turtles right now, I can literally reach over there and grab the Ninja Turtles Blu-ray box set of the movies. Who buys the Ninja Turtle movies in the Blu-ray box set. Where notoriously the first one is the only good one. Like,
Is it that good though?
that was an interesting question as well. Where like I didn't love it, then I watched it again, and I was like, maybe I'm being too harsh, and I kind of land somewhere in the middle. But yeah, definitely a lot to talk about with that movie that I'm excited to talk about when I get to it. Which you should check out on my own channel on Pop Gold Pod.
Think of the Turtles movie, Mayhem.
I did a review on it as well. I thought it was excellent. I actually think it's probably my favorite of the Turtle movies. I thought the animation was really, really interesting. It's kind of ugly at times in an interesting way. I thought it was really funny. I feel like they really nailed the turtles in this film more than they did the other ones, where every turtle feels distinct. I think doing the voice cast as teenagers was just a fucking amazing move, because it's the first time for me that they actually feel like teenagers. Yeah, I loved it. It's doing okay in the box office. I hope it does better, because I want more of these movies. And apparently they're working on a sequel and a TV series. I'd be absolutely down for it. I thought it was excellent.
Well, how was John Cena as Bebop?
Very good, actually. The weirdest experience I had at the cinema was there was a girl singing right behind me when we went to see it. Do you know that song Non-Blondes? 4 Non-Blondes came on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In the film.
Really random.
It's in the film as well, yeah. They have like
I thought she's randomly singing it, is it? No?
Oh, she was like singing it really, really loudly as well.
I thought she wasn't understanding the film, and she just started singing what's going on.
Actually, that could kind of bring us full circle, because there's a cover. It's they have the 4 Non-Blondes song, and they have like the original one, and then they switched to the version that was made famous online, which is the version where He-Man is singing along to it. If you've ever seen that video, so there we go. We've come full circle. But yeah,
my God, yeah, I can't wait to see it. I don't know if I got a chance to go to the cinema, but hopefully it'll be on the New York when we go there in 2 weeks. Woo! Are we done?
Yes. Oh my God, done. We went into the point. Like we went to three decimal places there, lads.
Oh, now we have a joint couple, maybe.
We did, yeah, and I had to bring it down to the nitty gritty and then do a process of elimination of how many 10s each of them had, how many 9s each of them had, how many 6s, and then get the averages of them. And it was just, yeah, but we're there.
And how old we all were.
Apparently, some of us are older than others.
I am. I know.
It's not that you're old, guys. It's just I'm so young.
I think the Corrs wrote a song about you, did they? Oh God. Okay, drum roll. Let's go. At number 10.
Dangerous. Was it number 10? No big surprise there. I think that was probably the easiest one. That was the clearest when I added up the average, or added up and calculated the average. It was like, yes, I'm 10. It's me. Hi. Danger Mouse was the problem. Number 9. Ted. Superted at number 9. So disappointed about this, because Superted was everything. For God's sake, like, he was your ultimate Teddy. Anyway, mind that Teddy Ruxpin shit. So in at number 8 we had He-Man. He has the power of staying at number 8. That's as much power as He-Man has. Soz. So in at number 7, diddle-diddle-oo, we had Inspector Gadget. So he done better than I thought he would, to be honest. But in at number 7 became our one and only detective, really, to be fair. Our bungling idiot, Inspector Gadget. Number 6, there's More Than Meets the Eye with number 6. So Transformers in they came there. Middle of the road. That was kind of middle for all of us as well. So that was kind of a good call, I think. Number 5 was Thunder. Thundercats was at number 5. Jerry's fangirling moment. Wasn't that right, love? We love a bit of Thundercats, our Jerry. If I ask him anything about him, he knows. Number 4, Dungeons and Dragons. Which I was surprised at where this fell in the list as well. But as I said, some of us were more knowledgeable than others. But I think it was good for considering a lot of us didn't know an awful lot about it. But you know what I mean? So, yeah, Dungeons and Dragons at number 4. Number 3, who are you going to call? Only the Real Ghostbusters. So they come in at number 3. Number 2. Woo-hoo. Of course, it was going to be Ducktales at number 2. A very, very worthy runner-up to the one and only Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That came in the number 1 spot. So massive well done to Teenage Mutant Ninja Hero Turtles 1, 2, 3 ABC. But yeah, that was our list. I hope you all enjoyed listening to that. What do you think of it?
Yeah, good.
Sound about right? Few surprises?
Few shows we have to binge watch now. We're going to keep go back and watch.
Yeah, I think the quality in this one, like, was stand. This is probably one of the more fun one lists we've had. It was just fun to just binge a few cartoons randomly. And yeah, like realistically, there's none of these that were really, really out and out terrible. Maybe except for He-Man, I didn't love. But aside from that, they were all pretty decent standard. I think Turtles definitely kind of belongs up there. You know, we're all about turtle power around here. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and anyone else who is watching, we really hope that you enjoyed this episode. We had great fun, as Tom said, watching it. Massive throwback, huge nostalgia feel to this episode. And it was such good fun watching all of the cartoons again. Brought back lots of memories. With that, we have, of course, some superstars on today's podcast. There is, of course, myself, Sensational Queen Lizzie. There is himself, Booker G, 5 times. Then we have up there the man that is banging down Hollywood's door. Phil, tell us what do you have coming up?
I'm currently working on about 10 projects.
Oh my God.
At the moment. I just finished a music video for someone, so that should be out soon.
Ooh.
We're still working on that feature. It's so much time consuming. We were filming this morning at 5 a.m. We were filming a comedy short. And I'm actually writing a short that I want to make myself this year, hopefully. All going well.
Amazing.
About forgiveness. A one-shot film about forgiveness.
Oh, because of placement of some of your cartoons in the list. That's fine, Phil. That's fine.
It's just I'm getting a new piece of equipment for my camera and I want to test out how it's going to rock and roll. So I'm going to do a monologue about forgiveness, but in a one-shot take.
That's madness. Phil, just remember us small people when you're big and famous and you have to fill those seats inside there. They're thinking, I'm allowed to bring 5 guests. I'm just saying, right? But unbelievable. Like, filming shorts, writing his own shorts. He wants to do his own monologues as well. Ridiculous hour in the morning getting up to do all of this. All the grind, but all because he's going to be an absolute superstar someday.
In the last 3 weeks, I've done 3 shorts, a music video, and editing that feature. It's just mad. It's time. Time goes nowhere. Actually, yeah.
What a time to be alive, Phil, huh? What a time to be alive. It's all happening.
I'd rather do nothing else. That I love it. Like, I'd rather do nothing else. I love it.
Well, there you go. Good. That's it. Amazing. Come here. Do what you love. You never work a day in your life. Speaking of never working a day in his life, I'm only messing Tom. Tom's on his holidays. Just kidding.
Yeah, my last week of my holidays.
How was your road trip?
Unbelievable. I was just going to say, like, you had the most ridiculous trip around the States.
I did, yeah. That's why I missed this last episode, the episode before this. But yeah, no, it was mad. Went from across Route 66, went from Chicago to California. Met some interesting characters, ate a lot of shite food. And what else did I do? I went to see a few museums, saw a baseball game, went to a few museums, jumped out of an airplane, saw all sorts of magic show with Penn and Teller, a few fucking Broadway shows and shit. So yeah, it was definitely an experience, and thankfully I didn't have to go straight back to work because I needed the rest after that, thank God. Amazing. It was all very exciting.
That sounds just so cool. I like the way you dropped in the random, like, jumped out of a plane, went to a museum. And...
like, it's not cool if you're just like, I jumped out of an airplane, everybody. No, you just have to be like, drop it, like exactly how you do it when you're jumping out of an airplane. Like I mentioned, did I mention I jumped out of an airplane?
Were you strapped to someone?
Tom, did you really?
Were you strapped to
someone? But do you know what? There was nothing wrong with the airplane even. Imagine that.
Were you strapped onto someone or did you yourself?
I was strapped onto a fella who didn't really have great communication skills or English, which was kind of worrying at times when he was trying to. When I was like, "Hey, are we dropping down a bit fast there, or what do you want me to do?" Okay. Please
that happened to me in Thailand when I did the zip line. The lads literally just tied the knot with the rope. They didn't put no locks or nothing on it.
Oh my gosh, that is.
I hope this works.
Over this big river that's like 200 feet below, so you would have just dropped straight into the river if it broke.
Jeez.
Like, they just tied it with knot. It was crazy. Like, I was like, you know what? I'll just do it. I'll do it.
Oh my God. Fair play to you, lads. Not a hope. My feet are staying on the ground.
Yeah.
That's that. What? And Tom, tell us, you've loads coming up on your channel. Please
Yeah.
tell us what's coming up.
Yeah, I've kind of been starting to rebound a bit after having not done a lot over the summer because trips and work and all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, like I mentioned, had 2 good bits of Ninja Turtles content lately, a new review for the movie and eating disgusting pizzas, which is kind of fun, bit of a different thing than what I usually do. Rewatcher, which is probably, I think it's one of the biggest videos I had on my channel was a rewatcher video. We're going to do all the live action Ninja Turtles movies, first 3 at least, of the original trilogy. First one is done and recorded. It's going to be a long one, so there might be more of those coming through the month of September. And then it's going to be all about preparing for hopefully a massive Halloween on the channel. So yeah, definitely head over to Pop Cult Pod and like, subscribe, and all that good shit.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Unbelievable. Yeah, make sure you do like and subscribe for Pop Cult Podcast. And of course, Deep Red Productions as well. And of course, Irish Wrestling and Entertainment, IWE as well, at Wrestling 8. If you have not subscribed, what are you doing? Get on it, subscribe, and let us know what you think of our list. Were some of these cartoons in your top 10, or was it just like, didn't watch any of that stuff when I was growing up? I had this, and this. Let us know in the comments, because maybe we can do a random cartoon list as well of things that maybe we've never seen before. So love to hear about that. Make sure and like and share as well. With that, you will find us, of course, across all of the socials. There is lots happening on Irish Wrestling and Entertainment channels, and on socials there's lots happening, lots of interviews as well. Make sure and check them out. And of course as well, make sure to check out just uploaded onto Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling. Make sure and check out their show too. And of course you'll find us on commentary. With that, Instagram, Twitter, whatever that's all about. Yeah, what's it? Not just Twitter, right? Facebook, and of course millions and millions of views on TikTok. Make sure you check them out as well. But from myself, being Sensational Queen Lizzie, from himself, being Booker G, 5 times, we've got Tom, we've got Phil, and we have been the Irish Wrestling Entertainment Podcast for this evening. So guys, Popcorn Podcast. Can you cut that bit out and do Top of the Pods?
No,
I
not
I always do it. Why can't I say Top of the Pods?
Top of the Pods.
Top of the Pods. So from everybody here at Top of the Pods, have a great time, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.